Okay, Nicky, thanks for talking to us. Just wanted to ask you first, are you at all surprised that the revelations in your book don't seem to have done a lot to dent John Key's popularity at this point?
Well, of course I did. When I had such a huge public reaction, which there has been, and it's been my publisher's fastest selling book ever, I started to think, wow, what's this going to do to the election? And I still don't know what it will do to the election, but what I think is going on is that it's like two New Zealands at once involved in this. There's one set of people who John Key was talking to who he was saying, don't read the book, there's nothing in it, it's made up, don't take any notice, and they're faithfully doing that. And there's another whole section of New Zealand who are walking up to me and shaking my hand in the street and coming to big meetings around the country and reading the book in unprecedented numbers for anything I've ever done. And it just shows us there's different parts of the society, and that's the way we're structured at the moment.
And do you feel this isn't necessarily reflected in the polls then?
I don't know what the polls are doing, but you don't write a book like this to affect the polls. It's not like I wanted a bump up or down or something. The issues I'm writing about are ones which are longer term ones about how we structure our politics, the transparency of it, about defending freedom of speech. It's about having the transparency to uncover and deter dirty politics and tricky politics. And that stuff will take years to play out. So I wasn't looking for the short-term response, I was looking for the long-term one.
What about Cameron Slater? Have you been observing his blogs? Do you feel that his style and the topics that he's covering have been reined in or curbed since the book's come out?
I suspect that Cameron Slater hasn't realised yet how much has changed, and that in the past he got his power, he was empowered by his connections to the Prime Minister's office and his connection to Judith Collins, and that will probably end now. His funding by corporates will end now that they've been caught out, putting their smears and attacks on his website. And so although we'll still have a whale oil blog, maybe years from now, I think its power has disappeared and its influence on New Zealand politics is more or less ended.
So effectively your book has helped to sort of kill off the attack style blogging that's been going on that the book has exposed? No.
I think it will have with the whale oil blog. I don't know that it will have with the Kiwi blog, where the chief pollster of the National Party, the person who advises John Key day by day, is also supposedly independently blogging. So you don't fix everything with a book, but I think there will be, the aim of a book like this is that there's much greater public awareness and people don't fall for the same tricks, and it means that the same tricks don't work anymore, and that's what I expect will work.
You spoke about the sort of current state of journalism and the conditions that journalists are, working under, and the difficulties that they have. Any tips for new journalists going into the newsroom in terms of how they can operate, with a sort of new awareness of the things, the forces, the influences that your book has uncovered? Well,
the first thing for young journalists is to read. Don't just read tweets. Read books. Read about things, because otherwise you are completely unprepared and undefended. And the best way for people to prepare themselves against public relations is to understand public relations, to read about it, to know what's happened before, to know how it twists and turns. But the other thing I'd say to young journalists is, it is a fantastic profession, it is a really powerful role in society, but it's not an easy place to work at the moment. And it's exciting when you start, and then it's disappointing in some respects, and we have to be able to get past that and continue to be motivated by the good parts of it, because it's a profession. It's a very good profession, but it's not always a very good job.
And perhaps one last question, Nicky. Just in terms of how things have been for you, your lifestyle, your well-being, there have been, the book mentions some fairly malicious sort of threats and things from some of the bloggers. Have you experienced any serious threats? Have you had to change the way you live your life so that you feel a bit more safe and secure in your day-to-day life?
I've written about international spying and the military and all kinds of subjects before, and never felt much concern at all. I am being a bit more careful at the moment, because we're talking about aggressive kinds of people. However, we live in the safest country on earth. If we can't have freedom of speech and do what we think needs to be done, well, how on earth can people in other parts of the world? So while I'm being a little bit more cautious, quite possibly unnecessarily, mainly I feel that we live in a safe place, and I'll be just fine.
Anything in particular you've had to change in order to just kind of ride out this initial period, just to so that until the dust settles, so to speak?
Oh, I naturally want my family to be safe. But the main thing that happens in New Zealand is that you get called names. And I know these people very well. The very first thing they will have done, the General Attack Group, National Party Attack Group, the first thing they do on anybody is they dig for dirt. And I'm not scared of that. And they've tried it on me before. So luckily I don't have a job to lose. I don't have anything that's very vulnerable, so I'll be right.
So they're out there digging for dirt now, do you think?
It's the way they think. It's just the way they always think.
So some things will never change.
They won't change, but the idea of a book like this is that their power will change. And when Cameron Slater no longer wears his reputation with the Prime Minister, when there's no longer a pipe coming invisibly down from the ninth floor of the Beehive to feed him and for him to feed to journalists, his power in society will completely change. And that just shows how amazing exposing something can be. It really does change things.